and welcome to A Problem Squared, the podcast which is a bit like Halloween, except our listeners come to us with problems instead of wearing adorable costumes, and we provide solutions instead of candy.
We don't know what costumes our listeners are wearing.
No, but that's my point. They're not coming to us with
Oh,
them.
that's true. We don't see them. Good point.
Yeah. I mean, they can if they
Yeah,
want.
that's true.
I'm your host, comedian and presenter, Beck Hill, and I'm a lot like a zombie in that I'm often lacking in brains.
Aw, that's not true.
And I'm joined by your other host, mathematician and YouTuber, Matt Parker, who is a lot like a vampire because he sucks.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, as soon as you were being nice and you're like, that's not true, Beck, I was like, oh, just wait, Matt.
Mate, just you wait.
It's all right, I'm going to bring us both down.
Dang. Well, you're consistent.
It was either that or
Leah,
you're like
jerk.
the other one was you're a werewolf in that you're quite hairy in places you wouldn't expect.
That is true. Talk about a beard.
Yeah. Yep, that's the intro. In this episode,
I do some spooky card maths.
I'm going to be thinking more about zombies.
And we have some terrifying
Boozness.
boozness.
Stay tuned. Hello, Matt.
Beck.
Hello, new listeners.
Yes,
Hello,
welcome.
old listeners.
We
Welcome.
don't often theme an episode around a holiday.
No, we did do a spooky episode a few years ago
No, 2
where
years ago.
people sent us their supernatural problems.
That's it. And I did like the pumpkin, hole in a pumpkin
Yes.
solution.
And I think mine was how to get rid of a ghost.
Sounds like us.
So, but yeah, we haven't done one for a while.
No, I got lucky. There's a problem that came in. I just went, oh, that's a bit weird. I was like, I'll just call it spooky. Halloween. Here we go.
I did threaten you. I
You
did say
You did.
you've got to make it spooky related.
Yeah, so I
yeah,
did.
yeah. Good. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
How have you been?
I've been all right. I'm now acutely aware that we're going to blink and the year 2023 is going to be over.
It's been a fast year.
Yeah, it's been real swift.
And yet slow. I don't know about you, but every now and then I think I remember something that happened, like
January
earlier
or
this
February.
year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what?
When was
That feels like it was ages ago.
Yeah. So I'm going back to Australia for Christmas.
Yes.
And we fly out late November.
Very jealous.
So it's going to be great. And that just amplifies everything because I realize that's like, 5-6 weeks away now?
Mm.
I'm suddenly going to be in Australia. So I've actually got less UK time left than I expected. And so we need to discuss, and I need to sort out separately Christmas cards for the year.
Yes. Because for new listeners, we do a Christmas card for our Patreon supporters. So we send out
It's
an
a Beck
e-card.
original. Yeah.
Yep, we send out an e-card to our...
Everyone gets an e-card.
Everyone gets an e-card. And
Patreon supporters.
Yes, and the wizard level supporters get a hard copy signed card.
We both sign a card and we send it out.
Yeah,
And
I design the card.
You design the card, yes. And I have a similar system for my YouTube Patreon supporters who support the Stand Up Maths channel.
Mm.
But I always try and do a ridiculous maths card that ties into a video that will be coming out at about the same time. So when you asked how I've been, I suddenly realized I haven't got that long left to come up with an interesting maths thing that can be both a video and a card. And I've got a prototype here. So I actually thought I might test it on you if that's okay.
Is this part of your problem or just part of your chat?
This is chat.
Wow.
I know. I'm using chat to help
Solve your problem.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, cool.
The podcast is problems all the way down. We've been through. Okay, so inside the card there will be 8 presents numbered 2 through 9 that you can cut out. They're like pictures of presents. So I'm putting these in front of Beck right now.
Yeah.
And the design is will make them look a lot nicer. I was just trying to mock them up. And then on the front of the card is a picture of a Christmas tree. I don't know if you want to describe that for the listeners.
Yep. So Matt's showing me a stock image.
Yeah.
Of a Christmas
Still got the
tree.
watermark. Yep.
Yeah. It's covered in baubles.
Correct.
They're all numbered.
Yep.
But I have noticed that it's not consequential. What would you say if it's just the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4?
Sequential.
Sequential. There you go. Consequential. I was close.
They
though.
are consequential.
They are. My brain went for sequential though. I'm very excited.
You put consecutive and sequential together.
I did.
And got consequential.
Yeah. There you go. I'm also thank you
twice as right.
For seeing me.
Which sadly this time made a wrong.
Yeah, which is not mathematically correct.
We need a saying for that. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the way this works is you pick 2 presents. So do you want to pick 2 presents? Any of those
Yeah.
numbers?
Yeah. Because I will say that these numbers are, I wouldn't be able to count them all
No,
in a
they're all
row.
over the place.
Yeah, I have no idea how
However,
many there are.
they are in they're very specific numbers and very specific heights.
Aha.
So if you take two presents and put
Okay.
them under the tree,
Okay.
so
So I'm
what
going
do
to
you got there?
take this one, which is, you've put it this way, so I'm guessing it's a
It's
9.
a 9. Yeah, actually, I
Yeah.
didn't think I haven't labeled which way up they
These are
are. That's a
things you
good
need to
point.
write
I need
down
to
for
make a
your.
note. Hang on, let me make a note on that. Oh, what do you got there? So
So
nine's
there's
quite
8.
tall and 8 is
9
super
is
low.
very tall. 8 is little, very
Okay,
small.
tell you what, put them, and you've put them on, there's a line at the bottom of the tree. You put them next to each
Yes.
other. Tell you what, stack them one on top of the other.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So now slide that stack along, and the presents you sit directly underneath one number on one bauble.
Okay. Yeah.
They'll be
So
close to other ones because there's a lot of baubles, but
they
there's
are close,
one.
but it perfectly lines up with bauble 36.
So it lines up perfectly with the number on. I'm making a note. I've designed it to match the number location, and your instinct was to get it on the bauble.
Yeah.
So,
Because,
to switch to bauble. Right, got it.
okay.
And so the number they line up with is 72,
72. Yeah.
which is 9 times 8.
Ah,
So if you take any two presents,
I
they
see.
will line up with what we would call the product if you multiply them
So
together.
I'm leaving the 8 for
Yep,
funzos. I'm swapping it out with a 5.
5 and 2.
Uh,
So people at home,
yep.
if you
And that
can.
is lined up perfectly with bauble 40.
Oh, 5 and 8. Yep, yeah, 40. There you
Yeah.
go. Yep.
Mm.
So every single.
Let's go for,
Here we go. Do another one.
7 and 9.
Oh, go for the big ones.
Yeah. They're the two
That's going to
biggest presents
reach a
here.
long way up the tree.
There's only one at the top, so I can only assume. Oh, no, it doesn't reach that.
No, which is 63, which is 7 times 9.
63. But those are the two largest
But
presents.
how would you
Matt.
get all the way up to 49?
Well, I'd have to add another present.
You'd have to have two 7s.
Oh.
So now this is one downside to the card. To square a number, you need 2 copies of it, which is why I did. I printed out 2 sheets, but I've not cut out the other one.
Ah.
But if I was to cut out the other 7
It would
and
be
have
the
7 and 7, it would line up with 49.
nice.
And this is working that out is a non-trivial task to work out what height each one needs to be, because there's some of these you can get there in more than one way. So that 18, that could be a 9 present and a 2, or it could be a 6 and a 3.
Wow.
They have to hit the same height. But then the heights also have to work with every other multiple of 6 and of 3. So it's a very complicated
Yeah.
system of heights such that you can get every single product.
And what would be the real world application of this?
Famously, Charles Babbage designed a mechanical computer in the 1800s, never got built. The second person to do that was an Irish mathematician who wanted to have a way to turn multiplication into addition. So you're adding together the heights, and it's giving you, instead of giving you the sum, even though you're adding the heights together, it's giving you the multiplication of the two.
Mm.
And this was designed originally to be able to mechanically do multiplication by just incrementing something across. Like you could be rotating a cog, you could be moving a stick, like you can physically be incrementing a thing, and it turns multiplication, which is normally like a 2-dimensional thing, into a 1-dimensional offset, which you can then automate.
Is that like how an abacus works
A
or
bit
no?
like how an abacus works, but an abacus you're doing addition because you're sliding extra beads across.
But it'd be if you were to.
It'd be like an abacus, but you'd get the product instead of the sum when you're sliding.
Yeah.
Now you can do multiplication on an abacus, but you're just using it to kind of keep track of what you're doing. It's not actually doing the multiplication for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything other than pick the two things you want to multiply
I see. Yeah.
and put them next
Got
to each
it.
other. Yeah. And I had the benefit of coming up with this. This is my set of numbers, but I was able to use a computer to find them.
Mhm.
Whereas the original, this was done to invent the computer. So the original time this was done, they didn't have the advantage of the computer. So I found
That's
far more
very-
efficient ways of doing it, which is why I was able to turn it into a Christmas
Thanks to
tree.
technology.
Thanks to technology.
But before it was done using brain power.
That you had to sit down and try and find sizes of presents in my context that would work, whereas I just wrote some code to
Yeah.
find the best possible
Wow.
set. Yeah.
But that's the difference between you and me is if we both had to come up with this thing, you'd write some code and I would sit there
Yes.
and just put things on top of each other and work out the long way
Yeah,
about how
yep.
to do it.
Which is how it had to be done originally.
Yeah. But that's my
Now I
style
do
of
it the
working.
lazy way.
I like to know how it's all done because I
Ah.
can't fathom it otherwise.
So anyway, I had a lot of fun with that, but I've been doing it for so long, and it's kind of so close to me. I've lost track of how it would work. But I found two very useful bits of feedback from you trying it. Thanks.
That's
That's
really
been very
nice.
useful. And that, Beck, is how I've been doing.
Well, I just want everyone to know who's already a Patreon supporter or considering becoming a Patreon supporter that my design won't be this.
No, no, no. This is for the mass Patreon people. Beck will do
I
a wonderful
haven't thought
artistic
about it.
design.
It might be interactive and creative. I haven't even thought about it yet. But
It's also a timely reminder if people want to support us on Patreon just to get the Christmas card, that's fine.
yeah, you can stop
It's
afterwards.
everyone who's supporting us at the end of November. So you got to get on board. So on the 1st of December, everyone who's a supporter at the wizard level will get posted a card and everyone will get emailed a card.
Yes.
And how are you doing, Beck?
I'm doing very well. As of this episode coming out, in a week and a bit, just less
Week
than a
and a
week,
smidge? Yep.
I'm going to be hosting Brussels Comic Con again.
Oh, again?
Yeah, they're doing
That
two.
flies around. Oh, is that
Well,
another
yeah,
one?
because May was the last one.
I honestly thought I've lost all sense of time
I
passing.
know. I keep getting confused because I'm like, wait, wasn't
Why
I?
didn't you?
And I'm like, yeah, well, no, I've already done one this year. That's why I feel confused. The lineup is absolutely off the charts. I mentioned this before we started recording.
You did.
But the biggest guest so far is Jean-Claude Van Damme, which I'm going to have to pronounce better.
You better practice that.
He's the muscles from Brussels and we'll be in actual Brussels.
What?
So
Wow.
I think we might be interviewing, because we host the main stage, Matt Heighton and I. So I imagine if he's doing an interview, it'll be on our stage.
You get to interview him.
Yeah. But also, there's a couple of times that we've had Belgian guests. And so the interview's conducted in English because everyone at Comic Con can speak English. But what will happen is then when we go to the audience, we'll get quite a few people asking questions in French or Flemish or
Flanders or whatever
the mix.
Yep.
And so then what happens is the guest will respond, and Matt and I sit there like we have no idea what's going on. We don't know if they've asked a question that's offensive or. So what I'm saying is, if you want to ask an offensive question and you can speak,
do it in Flemish.
Yep. Yeah. But no, I'm very excited about that, and
I'm excited on your behalf.
It's happening on the weekend of my birthday.
No.
So it's very possible that I will be interviewing Jean-Claude Van Damme on my birthday.
Wow.
Which is very excited. But you know who else I'm excited about? Now, UK listeners might not be, and some European, I don't know. I don't think it had as big a reach here as it definitely did in America, but in Australia, you know who one of the other guests is?
I can't believe you've opened with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
MacGyver.
What?
Richard Dean Anderson, who's also in Stargate.
I think Stargate's
that's a big thing.
Yeah.
But I was a huge MacGyver fan as a kid.
Yeah.
Can you tell that I was somewhat influenced by MacGyver?
I think you've MacGyvered several things.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. I'm very, very excited. But also we've got James Masters. AKA Spike from Buffy.
Oh my goodness.
And the spin-off series Angel. I know, very excited. Robert Patrick.
What is this?
Who's the second Terminator?
The very late 90s.
I mean, yeah, it's all the big hits. I mean, yes, a lot of people will be excited about this. Jenna Coleman, who was one of the companions in Doctor Who.
Okay, I'm going to need the name of the actor, what they did.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, but you leave a beat to see if I have a flicker of recognition on my face.
Joseph Marcel, who played the butler in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
See, that's how you do it.
Yeah. Jack Gleason, who's Joffrey in Game of Thrones.
Oh, I haven't seen it. So for me,
neither have I.
Game of Unknowns.
I mean, Matt has, thankfully.
Oh, okay.
That's why Matt and I host together. Because between us,
you've seen it all.
We've seen the stuff, yeah. There's a lot of incredible guests. And there's as of the time of recording, there's, I think, still 5 or 6 guests left to be announced.
Oh my goodness.
Which means when this comes out,
there'll be even more guests. I'm
very excited.
Can people still get tickets to go to Brussels Comic Con?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, they can.
Well, they can't because they're going to use their money to subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah, that's right.
To get the Christmas card.
Some people do both.
Yeah. Both?
Shout out to Denver, who's one who I've talked about before. I showed up and the first thing he said was, "Is this your card?"
Yeah. Well played.
Yeah.
Everyone who's going to Comic Con, ask Beck if this is her card.
Yeah. So that I realize that's not me saying what I've been up to.
Well, you've been anticipating it.
But I am looking forward to it. And do you know what? I thought I'll mention it now because there might be people that want to go.
Want to go along, they can say hi.
Because we've got listeners in Brussels. or nearby?
I don't think I've gone anywhere and done a show for a while without a listener showing up.
Yeah.
That reminds me, a listener came to a talk I did in North Carolina,
Oh, yeah.
and they brought a gift that I left at home.
Oh.
I will give it to you after the recording.
Because you mentioned this in a previous episode.
Yeah, tell you what, the post-credit sequence on this video,
This audio, this podcast.
the post-credit sequence on this audio content will not be you guessing how many dice are in the jar,
Oh.
but we'll record at home, just on my phone, the gift.
Me responding to the gift. Yeah. Okay.
Deal. And then next episode, back to the dice.
Nice. Our first problem is for you.
Spooky problem.
Our first problem.
Look, the problem itself is not that innately spooky, so I've really got to dial up the dressing.
Okay. So it's for you, Matt. It's from Maddie.
Maddie.
Who
From one Maddie to another.
sent this into the problem posing page.
At problemsquared.com. Yeah.
That's the one. And they said, Dear Beck and Matt, love the podcast and have a hopefully interesting problem for you. Ooh. Thank you for saying you love the podcast, by the way. Imagine if you started out, hate the podcast, but here's a problem.
You're my last resort, you jerks.
I want to punish you.
Yeah, it's a terrible problem.
They said, the scene. A mathematical problem posed by a colleague being discussed in the staff room. I like this. I think all problems should be sent as scripts.
They should be like, oh yeah, opening shot, exterior.
Yeah. Karen, 46, short hair. That's how they describe them in scripts.
Right, yeah.
G'day, Karen, if you're listening. The problem. 2 people playing Snap. Is the probability of getting Snap,
I think maybe we do have
playing Snap in the card game?
Yeah.
Is the probability of getting Snap the same or different if played with 2 whole packs of cards?
Oof.
They put in brackets 52.
Yeah,
In case they were using Scorpa
They are
cards, which is
teachers.
40.
Ah.
So they said our thoughts, just in case you want a little
They've labeled the
little
sections.
flavour.
Yeah.
Our initial thoughts were the probabilities had to be the same for both, but started doubting ourselves after some crude mental calculations. I like that. For me, crude mental calculations is like 69. None of us were completely convinced one way or the other. Then the bell went for tutor time. I mean, there has to be a school.
It's got to be a school.
Then the bell went for tutor time, so we haven't found the answer. Our plea. It's driving a few of us crazy, so please could you do the maths to show what the probabilities would be in each case, and therefore whether they are the same or different. Thank you so much. Binge listened to this podcast over the summer, and sad that I now have to wait 2 weeks for new episodes.
No, you should have been here in the 1 month release
Back
schedule
in those days.
eras.
I mean, they did have to wait 3 weeks for the last one.
3 weeks for the last
no
one, 1
weeks
week for this one. There you are.
Yeah,
Wow.
or 1 week.
1 week.
I've stuffed that up already.
There you go. So I'm going to recap the problem, and I have brought cards. I know they're not great props for the radio, but bear with me.
And you've got the classic bicycle standard cards, which magicians tend to
I do, and I
with.
just realized that I haven't used these cards before. I thought they were a used pack.
You know, if you'd done this with tarot cards, you could have made it a spooky Halloween one.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
But instead, you've done 0 effort to make this spooky.
No, through the power of audio only, now they are tarot cards.
So you've,
hang on.
And I don't know if we got that Foley work, but
hang on.
Matt just tried to do some fancy shuffling.
I did, and they're brand new and they're
almost, blame it on the cards.
I'm going to use the phrase
Matt.
stiffer than I'm used to, but we're all going to be adults about it.
A magician,
or goodness,
a bad magician always blames the cards.
Yeah, sorry. Let me just warm these up.
Oh, there we go. Imagine that Matt is doing some incredible shuffling.
Cards are flying.
If he was doing this at a table, you'd be like, this guy's cheating.
It's card shop. So, 1 deck of cards.
Did you say card shop?
Sharp.
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 What's a card shop?
It's like a card shark, but pointier.
Oh, okay.
I think sharp's the original phrase.
A card sharp.
Card sharp. Yeah, what's a card
I imagine it's like
shark?
a loan shark.
I can't stop playing as a card shark.
Oh, yeah, because otherwise you die.
Yeah. So while that's happening, I've got 2 more decks of cards.
So you've got 3 decks out now.
I've now got 3 decks out. Okay, so on Beck's right, I have a single deck of cards I've just shuffled expertly. Here, I now have a double deck of cards. I've put 2 decks of cards together, and I'm shuffling them together.
Yes.
So the question that's been posed by Maddie is, if we're playing Snap with the single deck of cards, is that any different to playing with a double deck of cards? Okay, so there's the deck of cards. I want to get your initial impression. And in fact, listeners, don't start working it out. I just want to know everyone's initial impression. So on one side, you've got a regular deck of shuffled cards. On the other side, you've got two decks shuffled together. And we're going to play Snap.
Okay.
Does that make a difference to the game? And I've simplified this down to like a single kind of Snap event, which is where I'm going to turn over one card to start with.
How does Snap... Remind me of the rules of Snap.
Oh, they vary.
Because I think that makes a difference.
They do vary, but at its heart, you're turning over a card and you're saying Snap if it matches. But sometimes you'll have multiple piles or one pile or... Yep.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So what I've done, and sometimes you turn them simultaneously, sometimes people take turns turning them over. So what I've done is I've just reduced it down to the turning event. You've got a card already out. You're turning another card. Do they match or not?
Because I feel like when I used to play it, you would deal the cards.
All right, yeah.
Evenly. So both people would end up with
half the deck or
half
whatever
the deck.
case may be,
And then you would both at the same time put out your cards. And if those two match, then you have Snap. But that is then different, isn't it? Because it means you can't snap to the previous card or the card after it. It has to be the card that lines up with it.
Yeah, but mathematically, there's one card and another card if it matches or not. So I'm pretty confident, and people correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure people will write in if I am, that almost all versions of Snap can be reduced down to do two cards match or not.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm doing it slowly so we can think about it easily by saying, there's the first card as a 6.
Yeah. And we're just doing it on numbers.
Just on numbers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there would be no matches.
And we can't do it on
It'd be a real boring
game. But you could
Snap.
do it numbers and colors.
You could do numbers and colors, correct. But again, you could read the same logic would apply to numbers and colors.
Okay.
I'm just doing numbers. There's a 6. So the question is, when I turn the next card over, what's the probability of there being a Snap? And so I turn it over. Let's play it for the hell of it. Here we go. Turn it over. It's a 7. No Snap. Okay. But what if we did that with 2 decks of cards?
I'm also going to point out that it's a different suit.
It is different.
So they know
that
that Matt has shuffled them properly.
Okay, that's a 9. So
that's from the double pack.
And I'm going to turn over. What's the probability the next card's going to match? Turn over. Ah, Snap.
Snap.
That was an accident.
Yeah.
Wow. And that actually happened. That's not just through the magic of audio only.
No.
That happened live in the room. So what's your initial impression? Is it the same game playing with 2 decks shuffled together, or is it a different game because the probabilities will be different?
My initial thought...
And just the context, a room full of maths teachers, and I'm assuming they're maths teachers by the context.
I mean, they'd asked you to do the maths, so...
But probability is famously difficult, and our intuition as a human is terrible at probability.
That's true.
So this is why there's no right or wrong answer here, because they couldn't decide. And I will reveal what my initial impression was in a moment. People at home, decide yours. People driving as well. Beck, what would you say?
My initial thought is that the probability is the same. If you could hear that, that is Matt's...
my dog falling off the sofa.
Dog falling off the sofa.
You okay? She's okay.
We really need to start filming these sessions.
Or not.
My initial thought is that the probability is the same, because while you've got more cards that are correct, you've also got more cards that won't be.
Yeah, it's the same cards. I thought they should be the same.
Like if I had 1 short straw and 49 long straws,
Yep.
the chances of you pulling out the short straw are 1 in 50.
Correct.
If I had 2 short straws,
yep,
and 98 long ones,
it's still 1 in 50.
Then
I 2 from 100, 1 in 50. Yeah.
Yeah, I do it like
Correct.
as if
You're 100% spot on.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Huh.
They're different. Spooky. There you go. So, and what I find particularly weird is I've got the whole double deck here. I could have then shuffled 2 together.
Got
and then
some
just
big deck energy happening there.
I got big deck energy. And I could have taken half off down to a regular deck size again. And so now it's still a different game. Because I shuffled 2 decks together and then took half. The probability on this side is different.
Because you might end up with loads more of the same card in one half due to the shuffling.
Doesn't make a difference on average, because as often you will have fewer.
Right.
So actually that all averages out.
Okay.
It's not because, and you're right, because depending on where they clump, the actual probability is different because if you knew what the cards are, obviously they might all be at the bottom, might all be at the top. It could be in this half or that half. But if we don't know, it's all equal.
Mm.
This could be any of the remaining, in this case, 103 cards before you turn it over.
Yep.
And so I was like, that's interesting. And I can see why they got into an argument because it feels like it should be the same. But then obviously they had an inkling that it wasn't. And so I wrote some terrible Python code to
I mean, I
play
feel like
Snap.
that eventually is going to be some merch, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I wrote some terrible Python
If we
code.
if we ever do a live tour of a Problem Squared, that's going to be a call and response thing. And so I wrote some terrible Python code. Everybody drink.
So I did, and I wrote it to play Snap, this version, and keep track of the probabilities as it goes.
Yep.
And so I can tell you the actual probabilities. So if you got a single deck and you put the first card out, the probability of another card matching with it is 5.88%.
Okay.
If you got the two decks, the probability of two cards matching is more than 5.88%. It's 6.8%.
Why?
It's more likely.
Why?
That's a great question. Why? Why would that be? So I wrote the code to play Snap with progressively more and more suits of cards. So it started with a half deck, only two suits, so you can see if they match or not. And then it started with a deck with 3 suits, and then 4 suits, and then 5, and then all the way up. And so along the way, it did a whole deck and 2 decks and everything else. And the matching rate increases as the deck gets bigger until it approaches a 1 in 13 chance. Which makes sense because if you had infinitely many cards, and let's say you want a 6, 1 out of every 13 cards is a 6.
Oh, because there's 13 cards in a
13
suit.
different cards in a suit.
And
then you're like, well, hang on. Well, why isn't that the case here? And it's because...
And Matt is pointing at the single deck.
Or either of these.
Oh.
In a finite deck.
Yes.
It's because that first 6, once you turn it over, the remaining 12 cards from its suit are getting in the way. And they're diluting the chance of getting another matching one.
Oh. It's a little bit like the Monty Hall problem. A little bit.
In that it's confusing probability.
Yes. Yeah, it's nothing like the Monty Hall problem. Yeah. But in that it makes me go, oh.
Yeah. And for me, it was that real... suddenly I went, it's the other 12 cards getting in the way.
Yeah, you can't match with those. So now, now it's making it harder to get the matching card.
It's 1 in 13 chance plus diluted a bit because of those 12 cards. And when you got the double deck, the extra 12 cards have a smaller effect because they're across a much they can blend in across a much bigger deck.
Does that mean there's only 6 cards in the way?
Per deck, yes. Yeah. So they make less of an impact on average.
Yeah.
And the more decks you're playing with, the more space for those 12 cards to hide until you've got an infinitely big deck, and then they don't make any difference at all, and you're back to exactly a 1 in 13 chance.
So what's the minimum size deck you would need for it to be?
Oh, for it to be close enough, I'd have to run the numbers. I've made a little plot here. So there's my little plot of the probability approaching 1 in 13, but not quite. But once I realized what it was, once I had the logic behind it, I don't need to run the code anymore because I played 100 million games per size of deck and then took the average match to get this. But then once I did that, I was like, well, hang on a second. I could have worked that out because I flipped that first card over. The next card has a 3 because there's 3 6s left out of 51 chance of matching because there's 51 cards because I've turned 1 over.
Yeah.
And on the double deck, it's a 7 in 103 chance. And that is a bigger fraction.
Yeah.
It's more likely to happen. And that gives me exactly the same percentages I said a moment ago that I got from the code. I could have just thought, if I'd spent a moment thinking about it, I could have worked that out.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if you've got a pack made of 14 decks?
Because you'll have 14 times 52 minus 1.
Yeah.
That'll be the total number of cards left. And you're going to have 14 times 4 minus 1 that will match.
So
Yep.
Doesn't work that way, does it? Is it? Then you
Oh, no,
take it out.
yeah, no, yeah,
Still
yeah.
the same
No, no,
problem.
no, 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 no. It
You can see where my brain was
I
going.
can see where
It's
your
not
brain's going.
correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your brain is trying to think, is there like a point at which you've covered all the bases and it works because you've got enough that
Mm.
you've done everything. But in this case, it just gets closer and closer, but never quite.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're still,
You're
those extra
always
12
taking
cards
out
are still
the
in there.
yeah,
You're just, they got more and more places to hide as you have a
yeah,
bigger and bigger deck.
yeah.
So they have less of an impact on any
And I
particular
see
draw.
now why it's spooky
It's spooky.
because it's 13.
There you are. I hadn't thought of that. Don't tell anyone.
I genuinely was like, oh,
Halloweeny.
now I see where you're getting.
It turns out it is unlucky 13. Spooky.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm more on brand than I expected. But that
Yeah.
proved me because my instinct was wrong. We all had the same instinct, humans. And a bunch
Yeah.
of teachers argued about it. But also what I love about probability is my instinct is write some terrible Python code, simulate it. But then I get the answer and I'm like, oh, that mail makes, I can kind of reverse engineer the logic.
Yeah.
But once I realized it's those 12 cards getting in the way, I was like, got it.
See, Matt, this is my favorite kind of problem that you do because I come away from it like, that's really interesting.
Oh, good.
I end up telling other people
all of
about
them,
it.
but
They won't
okay,
listen
I'll
to the
take it.
podcast still, but I'll tell
Oh,
them.
well, tell them about it. We have one last bit of business on this.
Yeah.
Producer Lauren, is it card sharp or card shark? Sharp came
Shark.
before shark.
Wow. What's the etymology?
The original sharp.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So apparently the root word originated in Europe, taken from the German word scharfen,
What?
which translates to sharpen in English and means swindler.
Swindler. A sharp swindler.
Scharfen. Card swindler.
Card swindler.
Matt, I think that deserves a ding,
Ah, thanks.
but I feel like we need to hear from the teachers.
No, I want my working out marked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to mark it.
No,
so,
no, no, no.
yeah.
Teachers love extra marking.
Yeah, they do. Let us know. Is that a ding?
Up next in our spooky Halloween, a Problem Squared episode, we have a problem for Beck, sent in by Jenny on the problem posing page. And, oh, Beck, your problems is on theme as mine. That's impressive. So,
Arguably more.
I don't know, just because yours is about zombies. So, Jenny's problem is, can zombies ride bikes? I hope it's not a pressing practical problem.
Yeah, you can imagine if
Oh no, they've got bikes. Is this going to be an issue?
Jenny's seen some zombies near a bike shop. And it's like,
She's like,
oh, crap, gotta get on the problem posing page.
Well, she's got several sub questions surrounding this problem.
Great.
Now, I guess this is getting into the details. Jenny wants to know specifically, can they bend their knees?
Mhm.
As in, like, if they can't ride bikes, can they canoe?
Yeah.
Do they have enough energy to pedal? Would they be able to get their leg over if it wasn't a step-through frame? So there you go. So if you're worried about zombie, apocalypse,
Yeah.
get a bike with a top bar.
And they
Because
can't
then
steal
a
it.
zombie can't nick it and cycle after
You wouldn't have to lock it up.
No,
You'd just-
they just bounce right off it. So they're thinking, so Jenny's discussed this with her friends, that the answer will depend if you consider the traditional film version of zombies with all their slow walking, or the modern day fast running variation.
Yeah.
What does Jenny know?
Well, like 28 Days Later, I think, was the
Fast
bit
zombies.
where I remember that's the first one I remember with fast zombies.
Okay. So it will depend on the additional model of zombie.
Yes. I thought this was an interesting one because, yeah, there are very, very different types of zombies. And so my first step was to see if I could find any reference to zombies riding bikes
in media. Yeah.
media. And I couldn't.
No.
Now, as we know from my Autobahn thing, I'm not always correct. And so someone might be like, actually, I think you'll find
in this Victorian era novel.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. This is there was a zombie riding a bike. But all I could find was there was a zombie bike ride, like a flash mob type thing,
Yep.
because there used to be zombie shuffles in Melbourne once a year. They would
That's
do the zombie
peak
shuffle.
mid-2000s.
It's very mid-2000s, very mid-2000s. And so you'd have hundreds of people meeting up on one corner of the city.
And they're all shuffling.
And you would
zombie
shuffle
style.
through diagonally
That's
to the other corner
hilarious.
of the city at the same, as zombies, just for fun.
Why not?
Yeah.
It was the mid-2000s.
Yeah. I remember there being a ninja one as well. There was a fella I knew who was part of like a parkour group in Adelaide, and they had
they'd
a
all
ninja
their way across
where they
the
ninja across,
CBD.
but they were all parkour people say
They're
dress as
jumping
ninjas
off walls and stuff.
yeah,
That's hilarious.
and I ended up using them in a video for my first solo show because I was like, hey, can I borrow them for like 20 minutes? And he was like, yeah. And so there's a
Can I
scene where
borrow
I
your
get
ninjas?
chased by like 100 ninjas because I just happened to get it in on the right time. I'm going way off subject though. So
bicycles.
bicycles. So there's a zombie bike ride where there are people dressed as zombies riding bicycles, but they're not actual
count.
zombies.
Not real zombies.
No. But I couldn't find any reference to zombies riding bikes. So I thought I will reach out to some people who I know
Oh,
who might know more about
now
zombies.
I'm wondering, bike experts or zombie experts?
Zombie experts.
Oh, okay.
Of course, it was bike expert. I come to you, Matt.
Wow.
You'd be the first person
I
I'd
dabble.
ask. Funnily enough, I thought I'll start at the most. I think at the moment, if you Google zombie,
Yeah.
annoyingly, the most sort of popular type of zombie is Minecraft.
Of course.
Yeah, because there's zombies in
Kids these
Minecraft.
days.
So I reached out to Peter Sutton from Fox Dog Studios,
Oh,
who is a huge Minecraft nerd,
Good old Pete.
got really into it during lockdown,
Yep.
and can now answer pretty much any question about Minecraft.
including the zombie one.
So I reached out. I said, are there any zombies riding bikes in Minecraft? Or,
Yeah.
you know, could
Are there bikes in Minecraft?
they do it? No.
Okay.
Well, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I said, can the zombies in Minecraft ride bicycles? And Peter said, sort of.
Sort of.
Now, I think this has made all the funnier when they continue. Baby zombies can spawn riding chickens. Now, I would argue that
That's
is
great.
not sort of like riding a bike.
But I feel like if you can ride a chicken, you can ride a bike.
No, I disagree.
Really?
Because riding an animal,
A chicken?
you have to sit on it and
Yeah.
hold it. But a bike involves sitting and coordination.
I feel like the balance required to stay on a chicken.
No, but hand and eye coordination, as in your legs. You have to know to pump the legs on the pedals. There's a reason that people can't just ride bikes.
You get that for free.
Like people have to learn how to ride a bike.
The balance is the issue.
No, you need to be able to
Really?
pedal as well. I don't think
you
riding a
do.
bike is the same as riding a chicken, Matt.
Okay,
and I don't
fine.
think I'm like
Everyone,
I don't think I'm ruffling any
vote
feathers.
below.
Was this going to be a Twitter poll?
Twitter poll.
Is riding a bike like riding a chicken?
No. If you can ride a chicken, does that mean you can also ride a bike?
Yeah.
Please show you're working out.
Apparently, the baby zombies that are spawned riding chickens in Minecraft are known as chicken jockeys.
They could have called them Jock Chicken. Come on.
But Peter also says, despite their name, the zombie has no control of the chicken.
See, it's a skilled activity.
And so the chicken often walks into one high gap and kills the zombie.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Practical information.
Yeah. So essentially, no. The zombies in
No,
Minecraft
yep. Can't ride bikes.
can't ride bikes.
You know, one of my favorite moments when we record this podcast is we will have this discussion and we're like, right, vote. Is riding a chicken
The same as riding
a bike? Yeah. And I can just hear a sigh and then typing in the corner.
Which is Lauren being like,
Laura,
now I have to remember to put
make
up a poll.
It's
a good
not
poll,
funny
though.
if we don't make the poll.
I think do you know what I love about this poll is I really hope that our listeners retweet it because
Void of all context.
without any context.
Yeah.
And I don't want any context, Lauren,
No context
other than
on
that
this, Lauren.
question.
Make a note. Right, she's writing that down. She's deleting a bunch of context.
I want there to be just
Just
people being like, why would you ask
Why?
this question?
well, Minecraft people will be like,
That's
"Oh,
true.
It reminds me of those chicken jockeys.
So I did say, so they would probably struggle with pedaling.
Yeah.
And Peter said, almost certainly. There's nothing in the law that implies any sort of wheels or chain drive vehicles have even existed.
Okay.
So that was my first protocol. So I was like, right,
Good work.
Minecraft zombies out. So then I was like, what about like classic horror?
Yep.
And so I reached out to Stephen Kostansky, who is a director and writer,
Excellent.
Canadian director and writer, who wrote a film that I'm going to make you watch tonight.
Oh, is that? Right.
And directed
okay.
a film
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, it's called Psycho Gorman.
Oh my goodness.
Matt Heighton, the other Matt I work with.
The other Matt. You know a lot of
Put me
Matts.
onto it.
Right.
And it is an incredible
excited.
film.
So for
It's
listeners, we're recording in Godalming this time, and where I live. And so we're going to have a little film night.
Yeah.
Very
Now,
good.
it's not a zombie film, but there is some reanimation that sort of goes on, kind
Right.
of. And so I was like, do you know what? I reckon Stephen's got a pretty good grasp of
Yeah.
classic horror. So I reached out and Stephen replied.
Excellent.
And I said, in your professional opinion, would a zombie be able to ride a bike? And Stephen said, I think if the zombie had a history of bike riding when they were alive, then they might be able to.
Oh.
Like they were a professional cyclist or something.
Yep.
But I don't know if you could teach a zombie to ride a bike.
That's a good take.
it'd need to be something they could do purely by instinct.
So when in the classic zombification process in media,
Mm,
they retain some muscle memory ability.
exactly.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Because they can walk,
They can walk.
and when we're born, we can't walk. You got to
That's a
learn.
learned skill.
So, and in some cases, you see zombies sort of vaguely doing
Doing
things that they did in
Yeah.
real life. You know, there might be some
like
sort of
menial, like
movement.
repetitive
Or,
tasks. Yeah.
yeah.
Ah,
I did say I love this theory. Thank you. And they said, happy to field any more questions like that.
excellent.
um,
Our collection of experts grows ever bigger.
they said, I think a zombie rides a horse in Survival of the Dead. And then they said, that's kind of like a bike.
Yeah, see? A bike is between a chicken and a horse.
I did say, I mean, what are horses if not fleshy BMXs?
Yeah.
So that was the answer from Stephen.
Yep.
Potentially.
Yeah. I'm getting more and more convinced.
And then I thought, do you know what? I need at least one more.
One more opinion.
So I reached out. I slid into the DMs of someone who I only slide into the DMs of occasionally because I don't want to overstep my.
Okay.
Don't want to.
Oh, is this like a
Overstep our
contact where
friendship?
you kind of feel like you've only got so many asks
Yeah.
per year? Yeah.
So I asked Edgar Wright the same question.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, well done. Good use of an Edgar Wright ask.
Yeah. I feel the
You're
monkey
never going to
claw.
get a better moment to deploy it.
In your genie 3 wishes thing, and I've used one
Yeah.
to ask this question.
Now,
Hope
for
you're
context,
happy, Jenny.
for listeners unfamiliar,
Mm.
this moment will be useful. At the beginning, when they mentioned zombies riding bikes, I just imagined Shaun of the Dead. Like that's
Yeah, because there's some. I
Yeah.
think there's one where someone's like doing something in the supermarket
Yes.
or something like that. And of course, at the end, Nick Frost is playing a video game.
Yep.
Poorly. Oh yeah, sorry, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So yeah, I asked the same question. In your professional opinion, could a zombie ride a bicycle? And Edgar Wright says muscle memory, perhaps.
Oh,
So like you said, yeah. And so I said, so do you think if they turned into a zombie while riding the bike,
Oh, that's
they
good.
might just keep pedaling
going.
automatically?
Yeah.
And they said, I think so.
That's pretty
So,
definitive.
Yeah. So a zombie could potentially ride a bike should the conditions be correct.
Right. They would need to already know how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
And potentially already be on the bike.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Beck. I don't think there's a more definitive answer possible than asking Edgar Wright.
Thank you.
I feel like you've won the A Problem Squared 2023 Research Award. So I would say the answer is yes. A zombie potentially could ride a bike.
Potentially could ride a bike. I think they can bend their knees to answer the sub questions. Do they have enough energy to pedal? I would say the same amount of energy
They
that
can
they
walk.
have to move.
Zombies can go
So-
upstairs, right?
This was a whole thing that I
Oh,
found.
really?
Yeah. So
I didn't realize what I was stumbling into.
people were saying they can go upstairs if it seems like a sort of automatic, like the same as walking
Yep.
type thing, but ladders, probably not.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just saying from a knee bending point of view,
Yes.
they can go upstairs.
Yeah, exactly.
If you
And
can
also when
walk
you talk about
upstairs-
the fast running zombies,
Yeah, oh, then definitely.
then they have to bend their
Yeah.
knees. Have you tried running fast without bending your knees?
I look like
It's hilarious.
I look like an egg beater.
Yeah, my brother and I used to have races like that.
Oh,
Where it was
really?
very
Of course
funny.
you did.
Yeah.
Lot
So
to do in Adelaide. Yeah.
again, would they be able to get their leg over? I don't know if a zombie would walk over to a bike and get on it.
Yeah.
I think they would sort of already have to be on
Be
the
on
bike.
the bike. But if
Yeah.
you put a zombie on a bike,
If they fell onto the bike,
and
then
they previously knew how to ride a bike,
yeah,
and you gave them a push,
yeah.
yes.
So
Because like some serious cyclists, which I think this would require,
mm,
your feet are clipped into the pedals,
mm.
like you're attached.
And
And so if you were zombified with your cleats locked in,
yeah.
you just keep going.
So I think I'm with Jenny. I think it does depend on the type of zombie.
Yep.
I think one of those slow moving.
There's a minimum speed to keep a bike
Yeah.
upright. Yeah.
Yeah. So they probably wouldn't have the energy, but
No,
I
unless
think some of the faster ones would.
Unless the zombie knew how to track stand.
Mm. Oh, one final piece of advice though
Yep.
is a lot of people have pointed out that if you wanted to get away from zombies, bikes would be the
Bikes
way.
are the winner.
Yeah, because they don't need fuel, which a lot
There
of
you go.
people run out of.
Yep.
It's silent,
Silent.
so you're not gonna.
Handy. You see in zombie films, everyone tries to drive down the nearest highway.
Mm.
That gets cluttered with congestion and cars and crashes. Bicycle, you can just weave
Get
on
around 'em.
through, pick it up, carry it over.
Yeah. So I think bicycles are the winner, and they're less likely to be stolen by
Easier to
the
fix. They keep
zombies.
going. The zombie can't take it.
And they probably won't chase after you
Love it.
unless they're already
Already
on a bike. So yeah, there's your answer.
Beck, I'm obviously we'll go back to Jenny to get the official, but I'm prepared to give you a ding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
First bit of any other business is that we had some commemorative plates/bowls.
Yep. Bowls/plates.
Yeah, that people could order.
When we had 1 million downloads, very exciting.
Yes, and we also sent them out to our Wizard Patreon supporters.
We did.
As a nice little bonus
Just to
gift.
say thanks.
People in Germany, not everyone is getting their stuff.
Not getting their plates or bowls.
This is not a us specific problem.
No, industry wide.
It is industry wide. Sending anything international.
We've done all the right things.
All the right things.
Oh, if you're thinking, but you didn't put that barcode on it, we did. We've got all the barcodes, all the numbers, all the codes, all the categorizations, the CN22s, the works.
Yeah. We've got everything.
Nah. I think it's because, basically people in Germany are sending back anything that they can find even the slightest fault with, even when there's no fault. And I think the fact that it's an ambiguous plate or bowl, and they're like, well, you can't import something that's of unknown type. And so they're sending it back.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Sure.
Is it a plate or a bowl? Send it back.
Yeah, let's say
Work
that.
it out, then send it in. I don't think we put that on the forms. I think we just post them.
Yeah. So anyway, my point is that if you are a Wizard level Patreon supporter who didn't receive it,
We're sorry.
We're very sorry. We've tried. We've tried resending them. It's not happening. Move.
Yes. Or if you paid money for one, if you pre-ordered one very kindly, we've refunded everyone we couldn't get the plate/bowl too.
Yeah.
Very
If you're a German Patreon supporter who didn't receive your free plate/bowl as a surprise gift, then
we're sorry you found out this way.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have known.
Or they might have been too polite, not wanting to raise it.
That's true. Yeah.
But we'll make it up to you some way. Someday, somehow, somewhere.
We'll find a way.
Yeah.
Also in a little bit of any other business. This is just a quick question from someone on the problem posing page. Nibbler. Nibble.
Nibble?
NYBBLE says, do you use a cryptographically secure random number generator for picking the 3 Patreon supporters at the end of each episode? So each episode, we thank 3 Patreon supporters at random, not by posting them a bowl, but just by saying their names. And I pick them at random using an Excel spreadsheet. There's a built-in random function. There's a built-in random number generator in Excel, which is not cryptographically secure, that I use to pick those 3 people. So the answer is I don't. It's not truly random. It's pseudo-random.
Yeah.
And I apologize for not being clearer about that. And for anyone curious, random numbers are an important part of keeping online information secure. But if there's any patterns to those random numbers, if they could be any way predicted or understood, that could be used as a way to break encryption. And so if you want to go all out, you can buy quantum random number generators as like a USB device that use quantum uncertainty inside the device, photons probably, to then generate proper apps. So it's like rolling millions of tiny quantum dice. Proper randomness. Whereas Excel uses a pseudo-random number generator, but they're not actually random, but they're randomish enough.
Does that mean that someone could hack it?
Someone could hack it.
Well, if we start, we have thanked at least one Patreon supporter twice. So if we start thanking the same person again and again and again,
then we know
we
need to invest in a better random number, a better source of randomness. Which reminds me.
What I have learned from the cards thing is that the more Patreon supporters we get.
That's a great segue. The better the randomness.
Yeah.
Only we had more Patreon
But also
supporters.
the lesser chance that people will get.
Individually, yes. Maybe one day we have to increase from 3.
Yeah, maybe we should do that. Maybe if we hit a certain number, we will thank more people per episode. And without any further ado, we should thank
3.
Thank 3 people.
Yeah.
So this episode, we would like to thank
Anthony Carter. I just split it up into smaller syllables.
Did you? We should say it did start off as a joke that occasionally we couldn't pronounce someone's name. And so to make no one feel left out,
Make it fair.
we will now try and mispronounce everybody's name.
Like I did for Ant on Y. Carter.
Nicholas Owens.
Nailed it. No second take.
Or Nicholas Owens.
And
Nico.
you Schwartz. We Schwartz.
Squats.
That works.
I do realize this has been a very heavy mentioning the Patreon.
That's true.
Podcast.
But they do make this enterprise possible.
Yes. Yeah. We actually can't afford to have this show edited, produced, or put out without you. So
Nope.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Of course, we thank everybody for listening, regardless of your ability to support us.
No pressure.
And if you want to be able to help us out, but you're unable to support us on Patreon, hey, just tell someone to listen to the show.
Oh, word of mouth is the scarce resource in the podcast business.
Whatever you want.
Get it out there.
Get it out there. We appreciate that. And don't forget, if you support us on Patreon, no matter what level you support us on, you automatically get access to our bonus podcast.
Oh, yes.
I'm a Wizard.
Not just the Christmas card.
Yeah, not just a Christmas card. You get an episode every month.
Imagine this, but
show.
less slick.
Less professional. Imagine this show, but without the problems that we're solving.
Oh, yeah. It is. It's just the packaging.
This is, more magic. It's very magic. I also want to thank my co-host, Matt Parker.
Spooky Matt.
Spooky. Matt, we should do the Simpsons names.
We should.
Matt Parker. I'm just going to do that. Matt Parker. I want to thank myself. Back chills down the spine.
Oh, well done.
Thank you. And finally, our wonderful and patient producer, Lauren Armstrong Carter.
You just said it with more vowels.
That's all I'm doing.
Okay, it's now 10 o'clock at night.
Trousers back on.
It's funny because I'm wearing my Trekkie decks now. So, we're about to watch our film.
Yeah.
And the gift that a very kind couple in North Carolina gave me is underneath this cloth. Would you like to unveil it?
Yeah. I'm worried something's going to jump out of me.
No, it's perfectly benign.
Oh, what?
It's the illicit, as to yet untasted, Trader Joe's baked cheese crunchies.
Oh, because this is like...
This is the one.
They're like the Wenzel's ones.
The one we didn't get.
A wannabe Trader Joe's.
Yeah. So, we've been trying to find a snack which tastes like the Aussie one, Twisties. And this is the one that everyone said try, and we never found. So a listener found it for us and brought it to a talk I was doing in North Carolina. Do you want to open it? Nom, 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 nom. That's how it works, right?
They're good.
That's good.
They're really good.
That's good.
Now I want to try them versus the Wenzel's. No.
The texture is there. Flavor's a little hollow.
It's a little too subtle.
Twisties really punch you in the face. But they're good. The texture is spot on.
Thank you very much to the listener. Do you remember their name?
Thank you. No, I forgot your names. You were wonderful people. Thank you for these.
Tell us who you are.
Yes.